Hi, I'm David Holt, and welcome to the world of the banjo. Now, I love this instrument. I never get tired of playing it. You know, it's like a good friend. It'll always lift your spirits. It can play sad music, it can play melancholy music, it can play happy music, but it can never play depressing music. You know, this is a good time banjo, and that's exactly what we're going to have here today is a good time. I want you to learn how to play this thing. I'm going to take you through step by step in this tape, and you're going to learn how to play the banjo from the very beginning. Now, you want to keep your banjo close and have it ready to play. In fact, take it out now so that we can play along together, and I can show you on your banjo all the different parts and how to play this thing. In fact, leave the banjo around. Take it out of the case, lean it against the chair so that you can pick it up pretty often. You know, this is a folk instrument, and the old-timers a long time ago didn't have a lot of time to sit around and practice. They would come home from a hard day's work, pick up the instrument and play for a little while and put it down and maybe pick it up later and play it again. And that's a good way to learn. It's a good way to learn this instrument right now. Don't just push yourself, just have fun with it. That's what we're going to do. Have a good time. Now, this is video, so be sure to remember to rewind and get each step. You can sit there with nothing on but the TV and your banjo and sit there and play this instrument. Because it's video, you can rewind, go over the lessons again and again. Now, let's take a look at our banjo, our new banjo. It's a stringed instrument. This is a 5-string banjo. Now, a note is a single musical sound. And if you pick a string, you get a note. Now, some notes are higher pitched, some are lower pitched. If you have a thinner string, usually that's one of the higher pitched notes. Your first string is a fairly thin string, but your low 4th string is a lower note. Now, the very highest string on the banjo is this 5th string. It's the drone string. There's an old story about an old fella who was sitting there playing one note over and over. His wife said, "Hey, honey, what are you doing? You're driving me crazy. Why don't you play all up and down the neck like the other banjo players?" He said, "Well, all those other banjo players are just trying to find this note, and I found it." That's a note. Now, you hear people talking about to tune a banjo, or to have a banjo in tune. Well, when you get it in tune, each string is at the proper pitch. The pitch is whether the note is higher or lower, and you want to have each string at the proper pitch. We'll come back to tuning, and I'll show you how to get your instrument in tune today. But let's just look at the different parts of the banjo. Get your banjo out, kind of touch each part as we go along so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, the banjo is mainly divided into 2 parts. You have the pot right here. This whole area is the pot, and you have the neck here. If we look closer, you see the tailpiece right back here at the very back. Now, the strings go in the tailpiece, go through a little hole in the tailpiece. They come across and go across the bridge. You see that little wooden piece there? That looks like a bridge. That's what's generating the sound from that string to the head. This piece right here, made out of plastic, is called the head. In the old days, they used skins of different kinds of animals, but today we pretty much always use plastic. Now, the outside, or the pot, is the wooden part, and we have the brackets that are holding the head down with the rim. This is the neck of the banjo. You hear people call it a handle sometimes who don't know what it is. It almost looks like the handle of a skillet, but it's actually called the neck of the banjo. The front of the neck is the fretboard, and you see these little raised metal dividers. Well, those are called the frets. You see inlays on the neck of the fretboard. These inlays are just position markers to help you figure out where to put your fingers when you're playing this thing, especially when you're playing it quickly. Now, the strings go all the way from that tailpiece across the bridge up to the nut. That piece right there is the nut, and that's where the strings end, at least where they end their musical part of the banjo, and go across the headstock. This is the headstock, or the peg head. The reason it's called a peg head sometimes because these tuners, these tuning pegs, stick up through the neck. You can see which string goes to which peg. The tuners, or the tuning pegs, are back here, and you tune the banjo up with those pegs. Now, the 5th string, like I say, is a drone string, and a drone is a string that doesn't change pitch. It just stays right at that pitch. Notice that the 5th peg is halfway down the neck, or not quite half, but you can see it makes for a shorter string. Well, that just makes for a higher pitch string. That's the 5th string, and that's what gives the 5-string banjo its special sound. Now the first string is the one closest to the floor. That's your first string. It's a D note. We're tuning to the G tuning. I'll come to tuning in just a minute, but let me just tell you what the notes are and what the strings are called. Your second string is the second one closest to the floor, and it's a B note. The third string is the G note. The fourth string is another lower, octave lower, D note. And then we talked about the fifth string. It's the high-pitched, octave higher G note. So one more time through that, your first string is the one closest to the floor. Second string, the second one. Third string, your G note. Fourth, D note. Fifth, a high G. Now, you want to see where those strings end up and which pegs they go to. Here's the one for the first string. This is the one for the B note or the second string. Here's the one for your G note or the third string. Here's the one for the fourth string or the D note, and your high fifth string is turned right here. Change those. Now, the frets are these little raised metal dividers up and down the neck. You know, the very oldest banjos had no frets. The first banjo came from Africa, and that's where actually the fifth string came from as well, from Africa, and this style of playing I'm going to be showing you, the clawhammer style. They didn't have frets at all, so the frets are a really nice addition because it lets you play in tune. Now I want to show you how to hold the banjo properly. Sit in a straight back chair. I think it's nice to have a back so you can, relax your back and lean back. Take your right hand and just put it on the edge of the banjo. Down here, that'll kind of hold it into place. It's at about a 45-degree angle. I'm holding it down with my right arm. I'm holding it up just a little bit with my left arm. If your arm gets tired, well, it'll get used to that. It will be tired right at first, but you'll get used to it. It won't take very long for those muscles to build up. Now let's get these things in tune because a banjo is so beautiful when it's in tune. It's going to be a little difficult for you right at first. Don't put this thing back in the case. Get in tune with me or get a friend to help you. Let's just try right now and see what we can do. I've already tuned up to a G chord, and I'd like you to try to get in tune with me. So what we're going to do is pick the very first string. That's our D string, and remember that's the one closest to the floor. So just pick up on it with your finger. Hear that note? Now your note is probably not the same as mine. In fact, chances are your note is lower than mine. So you're going to need to find this first peg right here and turn it. Again, you want to keep that right arm down on the edge of the banjo so it kind of holds it in place. And you can just turn that first string peg to get it equal with mine. Let it ring. Try to bring it up equal with this. Even that's beautiful, isn't it? Okay, let's get that second string as close as we can. This is the B note. Now that tuning peg is right here. It's the next one up. Pick it and let it ring. Try to make it equal with mine. Now we're going to the third string. That's our G note, the main note of this chord. Pick that one note, find your tuner right here. There you go. Let it ring and try to tune it up to the note. Okay, let's go down to the D note. That tuning peg will be right here. That'll be your lowest note, a D note. Try to get your D note equal with this one. Don't pick it too hard. You notice if I pick it really hard, it kind of has a flappy sound. It's hard to tune. So you just want to pick it moderately, not too easy, not too hard. There you go. All right, now we're moving to the fifth string. That's our high-pitched note, and the tuner is right here, maybe a third way down the neck. Okay, try to get your fifth string up to there. Now, chances are you're going to have to roll that back and do it again. One, because it was hard, and because two, it takes a while for a banjo that's just getting out of the case to tune up. You may have to tune it several times, and you will need to do that most of the time, every time you play, but you'll get used to it. It's not that hard. It's something you'll get used to doing. Now, there's another way to tune, and that is using a tuner. Here's a little very simple tuner called a quick tune, and I can tune my banjo by using this instrument. Basically, I just turn it on by pushing that on and off button, and you see it has what looks like a little digital arrow. I want that arrow to go right in the little slot where it says 0, and I want the green light to come on. If the green light comes on, I know I'm right in tune. If the red light comes on the left side, that means my note is a little low. That's called being flat. The note's a little flat. It's a little low. If the red light on the right side comes on, that means I'm a little high. I'm a little sharp. A little sharp. So what we want is just that one green note to, one green light to glow. It's hard to get, and you're going to have to kind of approximate it. But you can do it. One thing I notice in using this tuner, if I'm just a little bit sharp, it is almost easier than tuning the tuning pegs just to pull the string out a little bit. You're not going to break it. Just pull it out a little bit and stretch it and see if that doesn't flatten it just enough to come right into the slot. Again, this is something you just have to play with and work with, but you can get this banjo completely in tune with that tuner. Now we're tuning to the G chord. There are different tunings to the banjo, but the G chord is the one we're starting with because we want to sing some of our songs in the G chord. You know, in learning the banjo or learning anything, it's so wonderful just to appreciate each step. I remember I was once with Pete Seeger, and he had a banjo that he had just tuned, and he just played it. We were just sitting there, and he said, "Listen to that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just beautiful?" I thought, yeah, Pete, that really is beautiful. Here's a man who'd been playing the banjo for 60 years, and he was just marveling at how beautiful a banjo in tune is. So just enjoy each step as we go along. Roll the tape back if you need to get your banjo in tune some more. Well, hopefully we've got it in tune, and now it's time to learn a song. Let's take a great old song called Tom Dooley. Now, most of you know it. It's a true story that happened in western North Carolina, not far from where I live, in 1866. You probably know it from the Kingston Trio, but actually they got it from a folk song collector named Frank Warner, who got it from an old-time mountaineer named Frank Prophet. Now, the legend has it that Tom Dooley wrote this song and rode on the back of his coffin as they took him to the gallows. Of course, that's not true, but never let the facts get in the way of a good story. Now, here we go with Tom Dooley. I'm going to play it in the old-time clawhammer style and sing it. And I want you to try singing it with me. Don't bother trying to play it yet. Just get this melody in your head. It's a little different from the Kingston Trio version. And let's try just singing it. Here we go with Tom Dooley. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. This time tomorrow morning, reckon where I'll be. Down in some lonesome valley, hanging from a white oak tree. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. Hand me down my banjo, I'll pick it on my knee. This time tomorrow morning, it'll be no use to me. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. Now, the rhythm of a song is the repetition of the beat. So let's just tap on our legs what the beat of Tom Dooley is. I'm just going to slap my leg, sing the chorus, and I want you to try this with me. Tap your leg and sing it with me. It'll be, hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. That rhythm just keeps going like that. Now we're going to try strumming that rhythm. So basically what I want you to do is take the edge of your index finger and just use that like a pick and just lightly strum across your strings. This is going to give you a very simple strum to accompany Tom Dooley. Let's do it pretty slow. Get a rhythm going like this. See how that feels for you. I think mainly go across your first 4 strings. That's from your low string to your high first string, the one that's closest to the floor. So it'll sound like this, because we'll use the 5th string later on. Let's try singing it. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Ooh, we need a chord change there, don't we? I want to show you a chord. We're going to learn the D7th chord. Now, you have been playing a chord this whole time because you've been playing the G chord, the open G chord. That's a nice thing about the banjo. It's tuned to an open chord. You start out with a chord, but you got to learn some other ones too. The D7th chord, it looks like this. We're going to take our index finger and sort of curl it around and put the tip of your index finger on behind the 1st fret of the 2nd string. Just close behind the fret, not on top of it, because that'll make a dull sound as we tried before, but just right behind it. It may be time to go and get the fingernail clippers and cut your fingernails, because you pretty much can't have much fingernail on your left hand. Just cut them all off. Now take your middle finger and see if you can stand it up and put it on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. It'll look like this. Now, I know when I've taught people how to start before, a lot of them will make their hand as awkward as possible, having it like this and their arm under like this. That's not it. Just relax your hand. In fact, take it off the banjo and just swing it by your side like this, and just let it fly back up to the end of the banjo, right towards the nut, right there. Now, our thumb can sort of be behind the banjo across the neck like this, just in the crook of your thumb right there, or it can be directly behind directly behind the neck, so that your fingers are pressing directly towards your thumb. Either way works with the banjo because it's a small neck. All right, let's look at this again. We're going to stand our index finger on the 1st fret, 2nd string, our middle finger on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. Now the hand isn't touching the edge of the banjo here. The heel of the hand is just turned away, just naturally turned away. Your elbows out, but not out like this, not in like this. Make it comfortable. It is fairly comfortable. It'll get that way anyway. Now let's strum that and see what it sounds like. Are all the notes sounding? That's what we want. Let's just go through them one at a time. So here's your 4th string, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Now I realize that the first time you try this, you probably have some of the notes not sounding very well. 2 things to check. Make sure your fingers are standing up on end, and make sure that they're just right behind the frets. Just right behind the frets so it doesn't buzz. There you go. Okay. So this is our 2nd chord in Tom Dooley, and luckily there's only 2 chords in Tom Dooley. We're going to do several songs with just 2 chords. So let me show you how this works. Take your fingers off, strum it a couple of times. Now try to put those fingers back down. I know it'll take a little bit of time for you to adjust. Put them back down. There's your D7th chord. It's pretty, isn't it? Take them off again. Good. Now put them back down. This is what we're going to try to do. We're going to take them off and on during the song. But we're going to keep the right hand going with this strum. Okay? Let's try to do that with old Tom Dooley. Here we go. It'll sound like this. We're going to play it pretty slow. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. Try it again. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. This time tomorrow morning, reckon where I'll be. Down in some lonesome valley, hanging from a white oak tree. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. Hand me down my banjo. I'll pick it on my knee. This time tomorrow morning, it'll be no use to me. One more time. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. Good. Now, you might just want to try following along, not even bother to sing that. Just try to play it with me using your fingernail on your index finger as your pick, just strumming down, no picking up, just down the whole time. Because I'm taking you through this step by step. So just stay with me. I'm leading you up to something here. So try it just without singing, and then come back, roll it back, and try it where you can sing it and play it at the same time. Now, I want you to sing these songs with me. It makes it a lot more fun. And I know some people say, oh, no, I can't sing. I'm tone deaf. Well, let me tell you something. I've met thousands of people who play music, and I've only met one person in my whole life that was tune deaf, and it wasn't you. So sing along with me. It makes it a lot more fun, and it's fun for other people, too. They can sing along with you. Okay, we're going to take another old-timey song. You know, the banjo, as I said, was an African instrument and really got famous in this country because of the minstrel shows. And Old Dan Tucker was maybe the most popular minstrel show song. Now, I really don't want you to be counting how many strums you do before you change, but if you have to, you could on Old Dan Tucker. You're going to hold it down. You're going to strum for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold the D7th down for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take it off and do 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that is just a good exercise right there. Maybe it's time to stop the tape and just practice that until you can change the D7th chord, hold it down for 4 beats, take it off for 4 beats, hold it down for 4 beats. Then we'll be ready to sing and play Old Dan Tucker. Here we go with Old Dan Tucker. I'm just going to do the chorus because the verse is a little bit different. It goes, get out of the way, Old Dan Tucker. It's too late to get your supper. Supper's over and dinner's cooking. Old Dan Tucker, just stand there looking. Now on that last one, you got to come off on the 4th beat. You have a feeling how that works. It comes off on looking. Here we go. Try it again. Get out of the way, Old Dan Tucker. It's too late to get your supper. Supper's over and dinner's cooking. Old Dan Tucker, just stand there looking. One more time. Get out of the way, Old Dan Tucker. It's too late to get your supper. Supper's over and dinner's cooking. Old Dan Tucker, just stand there looking. Okay. Now, the verse on this song is a little bit different. Just a little bit different. Same chords, but you got to change them in a different place. You know, it was the minstrel show songs that taught us about verse and chorus. Before that, songs really didn't have a verse and chorus. But in the 1840s to the 1860s, every song, every popular song had a verse and a chorus. So here's the verse to Old Dan Tucker. Old Dan Tucker was a fine old man, washed his face in a frying pan, combed his hair with the wagon wheel, died with a toothache in his heel. Notice how it just stays on one strum on that D7 that comes right off. Try it with me. Old Dan Tucker was a fine old man, washed his face in a frying pan, combed his hair with the wagon wheel, died with a toothache in his heel. Keep going. Get out of the way, Old Dan Tucker. It's too late to get your supper. Supper's over and dinner's cooking. Old Dan Tucker, just stand there looking. Old Dan Tucker came to town, riding a billy goat, leading a hound. Hound dog barked and billy goat jumped. Old Dan Tucker landed on a stump. Get out of the way, Old Dan Tucker. It's too late to get your supper. Supper's over and dinner's cooking. Old Dan Tucker, just stand there looking. Are we having fun yet? I am. I mean, even just something as simple as that sounds good, doesn't it? Okay, I want to teach you one more two-chord song, and I want to show you how to strum it a little bit differently. I'm going to call this the guitar strum because it's very similar to a way a guitarist would strum a guitar. We're going to use our index finger, and just take that index fingernail, keeping all your other fingers right close to it, and hit down on that G string. That's your third string open, and then strum all the other strings open. Now we're going to go down to the fourth string, which is the low D note. Pick that one singly and strum the strings below it. We're not really strumming the fifth string yet. I'm leaving that for something else. So here we're going to go. G string, that third string by itself, and then strum or brush across the other strings. Fourth string by itself and brush across the other strings. Try that with me. See, that gives you kind of an alternating bass sound. Now, I know some of you are saying, I don't have any fingernails. You told me to cut them off. That was your left hand, sorry. You don't want to cut your fingernails off on your right hand. You want to leave just about enough fingernail to come over the tip of your finger. Just enough to come over the tip of your finger. In fact, I've even worn that one down pretty much. You want to have enough to be a little pick, basically. That's what we're talking about here. Let's go back and try this again. We're going to hit the G string, then brush across the strings. Hit the D string, brush across the strings, and alternate back and forth like that. Try it with me, very rhythmically. Now let me tell you something. Don't practice things over and over if you're doing it wrong. You want to practice them and do them right. Because if you practice them wrong, basically you're practicing your mistakes. You don't want to do that. You want to practice what's right. So slow it down as much as you need to, because you can always speed up. You can always speed up. It's hard to go back and get the fundamentals correct, though. So let's get this right. In fact, I'd like you to practice this rhythm until you can do it about this fast. Basically, you might have to turn off the tape and do it 5 minutes a day for a week, and then come back. Because I want to sing an old song called My Home's Across the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I want it to be about this speed. Give us some real rhythm to sing to. Okay. Here's the way the song goes. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I never expect to see you anymore. Goodbye, my little Asheville darling. Goodbye, my little Asheville darling. Goodbye, my little Asheville darling. I never expect to see you anymore. Here's the chorus now. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. My home's across the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I never expect to see you anymore. Now you can look in the songbook and see what the words are, see where the chords change. You can watch the video and roll it back till you get it right. Because I think you've done enough now that you can see when to take off and put on the D7th chord. All right, I want to show you one more chord, and then I want to show you some technique with the right hand called claw hammer style. You know, there's hundreds of songs that are just 2 chords, but if you learn 3 chords, you can play thousands of songs. I mean thousands of songs. Most of the songs we know, actually. So the 3rd chord that we want to learn in the key of G is the C chord. The C chord looks like this. To make it, take your index finger and put it on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. That's basically where it was for the D7th chord. Now, take your ring finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Now, if you'll reach over with that middle finger that's sticking up there and put it on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, you'll have the full C chord. Strum it, see what you got. Now some of them may be stopping the strings next to it. If they are, try to stand your fingers a little more up on end, because by now maybe you're getting a few calluses, and you can do this. Calluses take a while to build up. If your fingers hurt, just rest a few days and come back. So stand the fingers up, play that C chord. Take it off, put it back down. Practice this for a while. Maybe stop the tape and just go back and forth doing 4 strums and putting the C chord on and taking it off, back and forth from the G. Then I want you to also try to go to the D7th chord, maybe just going from the G to the C to the D. There's an easy way to get from the C to the D, or from the D to the C, because you can leave that index finger as a pivot and it can just stay there. See, we've used that for the D7th chord. Let's go back and make our D7th chord. There, you know how to do that. Put your middle finger there on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. Index finger on the 1st fret, 2nd string. Strum that. Okay, here we go to the C chord. Notice I'm going to leave my index finger down as I start to move the chord, putting my ring finger down on the 2nd fret, 1st string, and reaching over, 2nd fret, 4th string with my middle finger. If I want to go back to the D7th, I still leave that index finger down, pick up those fingers, except for the index finger, and put that middle finger down on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. See? That makes it a lot easier. Now, practice this. Just your strum, in fact your guitar strum. Go to the C chord. Go to the D7th chord. Back to the G chord. Just go round and around like that, so you can change those chords easily. And then come back, and I'll show you, Oh Susanna. Okay, Oh Susanna is one of the thousands of songs that uses a C chord, and maybe the most famous of the old banjo tunes. And the chorus only has the C chord in it. The first part are just G and D chords. Now you can look at your song sheet and see how this works and follow along with me. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the banjo strum. If this seems too complicated while you're learning the new C chord, go ahead and go back to the basic strum across all the strings. But I'm going to give it the old guitar strum right here. So it'll sound like this. Well, I come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. I'm going to Louisiana, my true love for to see. It rained all night the day I left, the weather it was dry. The sun so hot I froze to death, Susanna don't you cry. Here we go to the C. Oh Susanna, don't you cry for me, 'cause I come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. The chorus again, let's go to the C. Oh Susanna, don't you cry for me, 'cause I come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. Maybe now's the time to dig out some old song books and look at all the hundreds of songs that have just 3 chords in them, a lot of them in the key of G. If they're not in the key of G, maybe you can have a friend put them for you in the key of G, because they can be transposed into that key pretty easily. We don't have time to tell you how to do that now, but let me just go on and show you how to do the right-hand bum-diddy stroke that we're going to use in clawhammer. Now, clawhammer is the oldest form of banjo playing. I was in Africa in 1986 and saw griots playing in the clawhammer style. The old-time mountaineers played in this style too. Again, we're using that same strum we've been doing, but we're going to add the thumb string. This is where the banjo really comes alive. Hear that 5th string in there? We've added that now. This is called clawhammer or old-time banjo. Some people call it frailing or rapping. Most people nowadays call it clawhammer. Let me teach you how this works. First, I want you to just tap the rhythm, just to get a feel how it goes. You tap 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. Check this out one more time. I'm tapping 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Bum, 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 bum. Pete Seeger called this thing a bum ditty, and that name is kind of stuck because it sort of sounds like bum ditty. Listen, bum ditty, bum ditty, bum ditty, bum ditty, bum ditty. Tap it with me so you have it. Here we go. Bum Now let's transfer that to the banjo, because that's where we really want it to play. We're going to hit down with the edge of our fingernail. Your hand position is very important. You've been doing that the whole time, but now I want you to get your thumb away from your finger. You're not going to touch your finger anymore, your index finger with your thumb. It's going to sit up here on the 5th string, ready to play the 5th string. So here's the rhythm. It's the bum ditty rhythm. It sounds like this. Just listen, and then we'll try it. Okay, a little bit more on the hand position before I show you the rhythm. Keep all your fingers together, not spread apart, not flicking them like this. It's all one solid piece there. In fact, if you can't keep it in a solid piece, just get a credit card or something and hold it tightly in your hand. That'll keep all the fingers together, and you can tap on the string like that. Now you may have to turn your hand away. Turn the heel of your hand out just a little bit, because if you have it like this, of course, you can't really get in with that fingernail to pick the string. So turn your hand out just a little bit, the heel of your hand out. Pick that first string with one hit. Okay, now we're going to get another hit with that finger, and then the thumb string. So it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and... Okay, we're going to do it very slowly, but I want you to stay right with me. This is very important. It's not any kind of thing like, that won't get it. You got to get it just right. This is where you're building. This is where your rhythm is going to come from, the whole foundation of your music. So get this right. Don't practice your mistakes. Here we go. We're going to do it real slow. Bum, diddy, bum, diddy. 2 hits with the finger, and then the thumb right away. See how the thumb just sits up there, ready to play that 5th string? It doesn't even really move hardly. I want you to notice something else. My whole arm is moving. My wrist is moving. It's not a locked-in little thing like this. I'm moving my whole arm, although it's just rocking just a little bit, but just enough to give me some power. Now take that credit card and go out and buy something. And come back in about a week, because I want you to practice this. I really want you to practice this for about 2 weeks. Now you can practice it quietly so you don't drive everybody crazy by just putting your fingers over the strings and giving it this sound. Listen. Try this right with me. Just put your fingers over the neck of the banjo, stopping the ringing of the strings. Get it right with me. There you go. Run this back and do it until you can do it right with me. Or make a little cassette tape of it and just try it so you don't have to keep running the video back. Okay, that's the bum ditty rhythm, and that's the basis of clawhammer banjo. Now I want to show you the brush rhythm, because that will give us a full chord that we can sing with. We're going to do just like we were doing on the guitar strum. We're going to hit that 3rd string with our index finger, the way we've been doing, brush across the strings quickly, and pick that thumb string. So it's the same bum ditty rhythm, and you got to kind of make that brush pretty fast, just like you did before. But you got to get that thumb in there right on time. Bum ditty, bum ditty. This is all very subtle, I understand. It'll take you a little time. Be careful not to make the thumb string too loud, otherwise it'll be like this. You don't really want that. You just want it subtle in there. Practice that for a week. Go out and spend some more of that money. Come on back, and I'll show you how to put the chords in. Okay, hopefully you've gotten that rhythm, taken the time to practice it and get it right. Now, remember how we went around and did the C chord with the guitar strum? Played the G chord for a while, and then went to the C chord. We're still doing the guitar strum, but we added the 5th string now, the bum ditty. And now we're going to go to the D7th chord. Now I'd like you to take all the songs that we've learned and go back and play them in clawhammer style. Let's do Tom Dooley very slowly, the way we did. And then you can go back and do the other ones on your own. I'm going to play clawhammer. Get the little bum diddy going here, the bum diddy strum, and the brush there so we get a full chord sound. And you can either just keep hitting on that third string if that's easier for you, or you can do that alternating bass like we did on the guitar strum, hitting the third string, then a brush, and then the fourth string, and a brush. Either one will make a nice full sound. So here's Tom Dooley. This time tomorrow morning, reckon where I'll be, down in some lonesome valley, hanging from a white oak tree. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley, poor boy, you're bound to die. Everybody now! All right now, I want you to practice that song and all the other ones in the clawhammer style till you can play them and sing them and get them just right. Now, I know you're going to want to learn to pick this instrument. There are lots of tapes on homespun tapes that can teach you how to do that. There's other styles of banjo playing. There's a old-timey two-finger picking style, and there's a bluegrass style where you use all three fingers. It gives the banjo quite a different sound. You can learn all that on homespun tapes too. Now, I have some recordings you might be interested in. You can look on the booklet and see how to get a hold of those. But the main thing is, I hope you will keep playing this instrument. You've got a lifetime of fun ahead of you. You've got a lifetime of good times. I want to thank the Deering Banjo people for letting us use their good time banjo for this. Well, it's time to call in the dogs and put out the fire, so I'm going to close out with an old tune called The Boatman.
Thank you.